But Brady's dominance and blowing past those 4 Super Bowl rings, and he's the greatest of all time, and it's not even a debate. I mean, we're
Yeah.
debating, Jordan and LeBron, and Jordan hadn't played in decades, and he's still holding that mythical, place in our hearts. I was just wondering about that Joe has sort of been diminished a little bit here by Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Like he's in that shadow of Tom Brady, who wanted to be Joe Montana playing for the Niners growing up.
And I mean, two things. I mean, one of Joe's kids, I thought it was a really savvy read, was just like, look, you know, I can see the heartbreak in my dad a little bit, and that he now wants to talk about football where he never wanted to talk about football. And, that there is a sense of you can feel something running through your fingers,
Yeah.
you know. But the other thing that is so interesting is that, you know, you come, that title, oh, this is Joe Montana, the greatest who ever did it. I mean, that starts to precede you into every room, like rose petals or something, and there's a mourning when it's gone because, as you know, Joe paid such a physical price. I mean, they literally don't know how many surgeries he's had post career. It's somewhere between 27 and 35.
Oh my God.
And, he's had to sleep in this Velcro back brace. And I just love it because it's like, oh, Joe Montana is all of us, because his wife is like, you better wear that damn brace. And so he has it on at night and he's trying to unhook it one microfiber at a time so that it doesn't make any noise and wake her up. So she gives him crap and makes him put it back on. So I could just see Joe Montana there in the dark. This is his new 2-minute drill. Let me just very carefully try to get this thing off. And so you love that idea. I'll tell you, I came away thinking, boy, if when I'm 66, this is what my life looks like, I will feel like I did a great job. One of the things that happened with the pandemic is all the Montana kids came back home and everybody was working from home and they were having big family dinners 3 or 4 nights a week. They're 2 grandkids now, one on the way. Joe takes the oldest granddaughter to her swim lessons. I guess there's some like fancy club near their house in San Francisco. I just love the image of all these San Francisco moms with the little kids, and then Joe Montana getting in the pool splashing. And uh, uh, his granddaughter wanted to ride on a cable car. And Joe had only ever done that once, and I love it because he was very sheepish when I was like, "When did you do that, Joe?" And he was like, "Well, it was a commercial, and it was me and Tony Bennett, and he was singing 'I Left My Heart in San Francisco,'" and I'm like, that's not normal life, right?" And uh, so they took the little girl out to the streetcar, and it wasn't a streetcar stop, and so the thing wasn't going to stop. And then the conductor, or whatever the noun is of someone who drives a streetcar, sees who it is and slams on the brakes. And so I just love the idea that, like, the great power and joy of being Joe Montana now is that he can make a streetcar stop for his granddaughter. And like that must just seem like such a magic trick to her.
He's Wright Thompson, ESPN senior writer, did a deep dive on Joe Montana. It's almost he lost his identity a little bit, where it was firmly cemented. He didn't have to have a sign or arrows pointing towards him because everybody knew that's Joe Montana. But then all of a sudden, who is Joe Montana to these other people now? Because Tom Brady did all of these things. Patrick Mahomes is going to blow by you. Is like it just. I get it. And he can't go out and be competitive and play a game and say, see, I can still do it. And I'm better than Brady was. I understand that. I understand where you're kind of lost a little bit there.
Well, and I also think that this is a complex thing that he's lost because he, in some ways, he's almost like a case study in a psychological journal, in that here was someone who was the very best in the world at something and then had the ability to do the thing they did better than anyone taken away, had to deal with the just huge hole in their lives. Go listen to his Hall of Fame speech. It's unbelievable how honest and naked it is. And people just missed it. He talks about how he felt like the ceremony, he could hear dirt hitting his casket, like he was being buried alive. And that like he was not into the Hall of Fame weekend. Like he felt like it was a funeral.
Wow.
And that like, who am I supposed to be now? So I think The Greatest of All Time was an easy way to talk about a complex series of losses. And so, I mean, I think if you really sort of get under the hood of it, yes, he's dealing with the loss of that very simple title, but also just with everything that means. I mean, what do you do when you used to be Joe Montana and you can't do that anymore? I mean, one of the things Jennifer says is that she worries that he thinks the best part of his life is over,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that they've worked on that for a long time.